Don't be weird. What's going on, Facebook? Hello to the people as it is loading. What's going on? Hello. Hey, Facebook. Dr. S here, hanging out with Dr. A.
Hello.
I think I'm officially live. Okay, yeah. What's up? All right, so you know the drill. Do the things. So go ahead and share and tag some people as we continue this conversation. So Dr. S here, dropping nuggets you didn't know you needed. And as always, it's my hope and prayer that they will help you be your best you. And of course, I got my bestie, my homie. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Dr. A here. I'm super excited about tonight's topic or tonight's movie, rather. So yeah, we're excited. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. So I know I am going to share to some groups and tag some people. So feel free to do that as well as you all are
Mhm.
popping on. Please say hello in the comments so we can say hello back. As we are doing that. How y'all doing? Today's Tuesday. I have to remind myself because we
Listen, that day off.
between the break and the day off and all of the things, I always forget the days. So happy Tuesday. Hopefully you all had a fantastic day. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to think of who commented earlier when I was posting about this. Um, but yeah, we'll go ahead and get into it. Mm, I can't remember. I never remember all of the people. So yeah, before we get started, I want to just mention a couple of things and then I'll turn it over to Dr. A so she can start the conversation about, again, another classic, Waiting to Exhale. So, just a couple of things coming up. We are doing a Galentine's night get together on February 14th. So it's really for any lady. It probably will lean more into, all the single ladies. Because if you booed up, right, if you booed up, you probably got plans. But even if you are booed up, but you just happen to not have plans on February 14th, come hang out with us at Game Show Battle
Mhm.
Rooms in Chesterfield. Tickets are $42. You can get those at drshalay.com/events dash one. And also, fifth annual Roar Like a Lioness Women's Conference is coming up on April 5th of 2025. Super excited about that. Our speakers are locked in, our psalmists locked in. I'll be promoting a little bit more and introducing our speakers who many of you all know. And so that's going to be great. Registration is open for that. It's $65. So again, you can go to drshalay.com and reserve your spot for that. So just wanted to say that really quickly. Now let's get into it. So, Scripted Love, this is our fifth movie. If you've missed any of our previous lives, you can check them out on my YouTube channel or you can scroll through, Facebook and find it on here. So we have talked about Two Can Play That Game, Love Jones, uh,
Just right.
Just Right,
Brown sugar.
and Brown Sugar. Yep,
Okay.
those four. And so tonight we are talking about Waiting to Exhale. So 1995.
Yes.
Yes. I'm like, I miss the 90s. Can
Yes.
we
It was so cool watching that movie. I'm like, first of all, so I know this ain't about the movie, but the soundtrack was the best. Just seeing how the women like carried themselves. I'm like, golly.
Yeah,
It
the
was just
90s was
all
epic.
the feelings.
The 90s was epic. If I had knew then that the 90s was as far as they was, I would have just
Yes. Pay,
90s.
listen,
I'm
pay
gonna
more attention.
I'm gonna
Be
just
all
live
in.
life like I'm in the 90s. I'm gonna go back. So anyway, so turn over to you, Dr. A.
So, because this is such a classic movie, I believe a majority of our viewing audience have seen this. Dr. S put a question out there. How old were you in 1995 when this movie came out? I was 10, so definitely should not have been watching this movie at 10. I don't remember when I watched it, and I feel like the nerd in me, I read the book as well because I remember it was a little delineation between the two. But real quick, this is just one of those movies where Ebony said she was 15.
Y'all babies out here watching this fast tail movie.
Oh, that's another series we need to do. Movies we ain't had no business watching.
Oh, we hey,
um, Yes, but looking at the navigating between the relationships between four women, Savannah, Robin, Bernie, because I'm gonna mess around and call her Bernadette, and her name is Bernadine, and Gloria. And we all know the iconic, like if you don't know nothing else about Waiting to Exhale, the iconic setting the car on fire scene and she
yes.
walking away and could care less. But it was really interesting to see the dynamics of the different relationships and
Mhm.
how each one of them went after relationships differently. Um, and we're just jumping into with Savannah and Robin, like they have relationships with married men. Robin and Savannah, I can't say it phased Savannah because she was having pressure from her mom, and that's a whole nother like dynamic.
Oh
But
my
Robin was like, somebody was like, he married, and she'd be like, and she just wanted to get her piece of the pie. And then Bernie, who was dealing with divorce, and Gloria, who was dealing with still in love with her baby's father. And I don't remember if it ever said if they were married or not, but and also looking at how she interacted with her son, and that kind of became a relationship. And I know we may or may not get into all that, but in a nutshell, that's what we're talking about.
God. So you said a couple of things. I absolutely forgot until I rewatched the movie
Hmm.
and well in snippets because I was watching some other stuff on YouTube. I actually
Hmm.
forgot that this was a Terry McMillan book. I
Hmm.
totally forgot that this was a book first, and
Hmm.
I can't remember if I read the book before. I was real hard for Terry when she
Hmm.
first came
Hmm.
out. Like Disappearing Acts, I had to have read it. I like every
Hmm.
movie they made. I'm pretty sure I read the book. So
Hmm.
if you all are popping on now, hey. And if you've only seen the movie, go check
Hmm.
out some of the Terry McMillan books.
Yeah.
The other thing, before we get into specific characters, is
Hmm.
something you said in our first scripted love um
Hmm.
live, which that was on Two Can Play That Game, and it was four women,
Hmm.
four
Hmm.
girlfriends.
Hmm.
Um, and it just made me think about how it seems like these movies will have the four friends and it's
Hmm.
these specific types, right? Like the one
Hmm.
really professional one, the
Hmm.
one who's
Hmm.
kind of professional but
Mhm.
still messing
Mhm.
around, the one who
Mhm.
is, maybe a little heavier, or one who's a thought. Like it's
Mhm.
like all these like little dynamics that they have
Mhm.
that seem to transcend
Mhm.
the decades, right? If you think
Mhm.
about new
Mhm.
sitcoms like Harlem or different things like that, it
Mhm.
still has this little theme through it. So
Yeah.
I guess they like it's tried and true. So we
Right.
ain't gonna try to reinvent the wheel. So anyway, I just wanted
Mhm.
to mention that before you get into I don't
Mhm.
know who you're gonna start with, but whoever you get into. And Ebony said she read the book. And she, I had absolutely no business watching the movie or reading the book. And she read most of her books again. No business. Girl, we was just, I'm telling you, we
We
talk
was
about the
like,
kids nowadays, but we was grown in our own right back in the day.
mhm.
Although I was grown in 95.
Mhm.
FYI, I was
Right.
almost 22. Y'all was youngins. Okay, so who you want to
Hmm.
start with, Dr. A?
I guess we can start with Bernie, since I
Okay.
believe that was the first character that we kind of got introduced to, and
Okay.
yeah. So Bernie, we all know. Look, we know the Mary J. Blige. So 11 years. Husband walk in, say, "I'm leaving you, and I'm leaving you for a white woman."
Woo! Woo!
So can we just get out the way and say, I'm not for violence, but I get it. I get it. She dealt with it in the way that she felt like she needed to deal. It was either that car or him and
Liz,
the other woman, which
Liz.
if you saw it, it went down a couple times.
Mm,
But she is throughout the movie, it's like she's trying to find her way back, because that was like a good blow for her. She was caught
yeah.
off guard. Like he tell they on their way to a party, like he ain't even wait till it wasn't the event they need to show up at. Like, I'm taking her, I ain't taking you.
I'm
And
going. You're not going,
you
but I'm
ain't going.
going. Cause she don't want to be alone tonight.
Again, I get it. All the stuff she was doing, look, I get it. When she snapped in that closet, I was like, I understand. I ain't understand, and I don't know when. Let's just say 13 to be safe, because I really doubt I watched it at 10, and I ain't understand why she was flipping out. But I get it now. And how, because she interacts with two other guys. I don't remember the football. Somebody she just met in the club out, and he turns out to be married. And then at the end, she interacts, well, closer to the end of the movie, she interacts with Wesley Snipes. And I don't know if it's ironic, but writers. He he's married to a white woman. And what threw me was he wrote a letter to her. It was like, I feel in love. I'm watching my white wife die. Like, I didn't know what she was supposed to do with that. But I think Bernie, the way I looked at Bernie, how she processed her grief. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she literally went through the different stages of grief all through that the movie. And I think one thing that I picked out, that like a relationship, it don't necessarily have to be a divorce, but in that case it was divorce, but a long-term relationship, it when it ends, it may cause some grief, and to give yourself space to process that grief.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one key thing that I got out of Bernie's character, just from watching it throughout the movie.
Yeah. So when we started this, the whole, part of the premise was,
Mm-hmm.
especially for those of y'all who were in your teens,
Mm-hmm.
watching these, fire movies,
Mm-hmm.
some that aged well, some that didn't, as we've talked
Mm-hmm.
about. It's like, okay, well, what am I learning about relationships? What
Mm-hmm.
am I learning about interaction? So watching this movie, we learned potentially from Bernie,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you can be a diehard, go get it, got your back wife,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Build stuff from the ground up.
real stuff. I'm with you when we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
put
You ain't got
TD Jakes
nothing.
and Sarita. Like, I'm riding with you when the bottom of the car floor is rusted and I can see the
Yeah.
ground. I'm with you. I'm helping
Mm-hmm.
you on your test in college so you can play in the game on Saturday. I
Mm-hmm.
got you. And then you gonna turn around and leave me? Okay, so you gonna cheat on me with some chick that you work with, black or
Mm-hmm.
white,
Mm-hmm.
Asian or Hispanic, whoever.
Whomever.
And not only you gonna cheat on me with you gonna leave.
What Kanye say? When you get on, he leave you for a white girl.
So even if I do all the right things, I still risk the possibility
Yes.
of being jilted.
Yes.
And then,
And
oh,
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
look, and not only you gonna jilt me, and you gonna try not to give me no money.
And they was rich, rich. $5,000 for a mortgage today is expensive. They was like he on vent like
Right.
rich. And it talked about like the compromises, like no, she put off her wanting to open a catering business for his business.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to put her kids in a more diverse school, and he wanted to put them in like a more all white school. Like
Mm-hmm.
when she was like processing, as I say, all of that started to come out, and like did we learn, is it possible that we learn like um to the older dodge of our grandmothers and mothers, like you always have something for yourself, right? Like you don't solely depend, which is a whole like what's the word, thought process in today's internet streets, like men feeling like women don't depend, like depend on men, but we were taught literally because of stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
that you have something for yourself. um and like you said, do we learn like you go into a marriage and put your all in, like you just said, it run the risk of after doing all of that, you it still it doesn't pan out.
Right.
So
Crazy. Yeah, yeah. Oof. So yeah. So she her character, I really appreciated
hmm
um her arch in
hmm
right. So where she went from, so like you said, sacrificing, putting
hmm
her hopes and dreams and desires and professional ambitions on the
hmm
back burner to pour into him, because that's what we do, right?
hmm
As women.
hmm hmm
If you a ride or die, you a ride or die. You're
hmm
so to see her um
hmm
kind of blossom. So even like the
yeah,
cutting of the hair, right?
yes,
I've been
yes.
growing his hair for 11
hmm
years, and this is an outward example of me shedding
hmm
this thing that may or may not have even been what I wanted, right? She
hmm
could have been growing her hair because that's what he
For
wanted.
him. hmm
Just
hmm
another example of her doing
hmm
something that wasn't important to her or as important to her. For him,
hmm
well, now I'm letting go of all this dead weight, literally and
hmm
figuratively,
hmm
and moving on with my life. So
And
yeah.
even after she started making those changes, I appreciated the moments where she still struggled, where
Mm-hmm.
it showed like it. So it didn't show us like you said. So cutting the hair is a good example. Like I'm shedding this weight, but I still I still may want to pick up the phone and call.
One thing you missed about landlines, I miss actual phones sometimes.
uh-huh.
And calling and leaving angry messages. Y'all don't do this. This is 1995. I wouldn't do that in 2024. But in the 90s, yeah, I left some angry messages.
Star 67 when Call ID came out. So here's a possible, maybe not so great cue of picking up like her destroying his property. Now, again, as a teenager, and I look at that and be like, okay, this how I deal with a guy that betrayed me. Jail is real. Uh, I take my anger out on his property. Now, again, I got it. Like again, when she was monologuing in the closet, I was like, listen, I literally don't blame you. But I do know, like in college, and I'm pretty sure everywhere, that was the go-to key to dude car. Like, bust this windshield out. Like that was the go-to, was the destruction of property to get our lick back.
Mhm.
So I again look at when we're talking about the framing of healthy relationships, but I think it also the framing of how do we process, like I said, that grief. Um, in a not destructive way. So.
That's so good. That's an excellent point. Yes. How do we deal with the ending of a relationship? Like a devastating.
Hmm.
It was just
Hmm.
so friggin' disrespectful.
Disrespectful. He
And
did not treat her with any care.
right. So not only did he end the relationship, like the way he ended the relationship was
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
harmful, hurtful,
Hmm.
disrespectful, disregarding of her feelings. And I
Hmm.
completely agree. Burning somebody clothes and car up in the driveway is, likely not the way to handle that. And as you said, our grief, our processing
Hmm.
runs the gamut. Now, I
Hmm.
personally have never keyed a car.
Hmm.
I have never, busted out windows, slashed tires, any of that.
Hmm.
Not because I didn't want to.
Hmm.
I have wanted to.
Hmm.
But even
Hmm.
pre-salvation, I believed in
Hmm.
karma. So I was like, I don't want to do this, and then something bad happened to
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
could definitely understand, empathize, relate with
Hmm.
wanting to respond in that way. And
Hmm.
especially if you don't know any other way to respond, right? Like,
Right.
and this the 90s, so we're not talking about going to therapy. We're not talking
Right.
about,
Right.
go talk to somebody. You
Hmm.
either suck it up or you
Hmm.
act it out.
Hmm.
That's
Yep.
that's what we was doing until
Yep.
recently,
Yeah.
most of us.
Right.
So yes, that's an excellent point. Tasha said,
Hmm.
"Hey Tasha, yes, we're talking about the part
Hmm.
where she burned the clothes and when she's thrown away clothes. Listen, now that is one thing that my mom used to say to me. She's like, when you break up with somebody or somebody break up with you, you get rid. You don't keep nothing.
Hmm.
You don't keep none of that.
Hmm.
Again, we ain't go to
Hmm.
the extreme of burning stuff, but she was like,
Hmm.
you don't keep nothing of
Hmm.
that person, nothing that will remind you of that person." So
Right.
it's
Right.
already said. I'm gonna take that a little literal.
Yeah. One last thing before we move on. She made the quote. She said, I thought if I gave him what he needed, then he'd give me what I needed. And it's like, it's almost like if I, like you said, if I pour in, if I self sacrifice, if I do all of these things, then hopefully, maybe he would do it for me. And just like my rant, and two could play that game, what I'm learning, if he ain't showing that, because that ain't the first time he asked to sacrifice. So he was asking her to sacrifice probably before they got married. If he not showing that pre-marriage, is I'm learning is very likely he not gonna show that after
Right.
marriage.
And how do
So
you how do you figure that out? Again, so we're talking
mm-hmm,
about relationships. So at what point do you say to yourself,
mm-hmm,
I'm the only one sacrificing.
mm-hmm,
I'm the only one,
mm-hmm,
giving up something.
mm-hmm,
Like,
mm-hmm,
I know. So we did a singles group last
mm-hmm.
year, and one of the people in the singles group had talked about how when you first meet somebody, they're showing you their representative, and it's
Yes,
not,
yes,
some time until you see
yes.
the real them. So,
Mm-hmm,
like, at what point are you like, I'm giving too much?
mm-hmm,
Does that happen while you're dating?
mm-hmm,
Does it come up when you're engaged?
mm-hmm,
Or does
mm-hmm,
it not happen until you're well into the marriage? And now you like,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I got a whole 4-year degree or a whole, business license or a whole this, that, and
mm-hmm,
the third. And I have done none of that because I have
mm-hmm,
been
mm-hmm,
pouring, pouring, giving, giving, sharing, you know what I'm
mm-hmm.
saying? So, and thank you all for popping on and comment. Like, what are y'all thoughts on that? Like, how do you navigate that healthy balance of reciprocity and give and
Right.
take in a relationship?
I think I think all three cases are possible. It can happen in the dating phase, it can happen in fiance phase, and it can happen where all we did all the things to get me married and then whoop. Now for to show my true self, unfortunately. But I would say, because I've been in my limited situation, like I would say the being married and being in a long term relationship, I definitely saw and said, I'm the one always giving her. I'm the one that's fighting. And what I would do differently is, okay, once I bring it to you and no changes are made, then I have to make the tough decision to, do I continue this? Um, or, do we, because some people make the decision like, I'm gonna stay with this hoping that one day he'll change. So I think it's reasonable to do this before a long-term semi-permanent being engaged permanent commitment is done. um but we talk about it all the time, like we sometimes ignore the red flags, and we just have to stop ignoring the red flags thinking they're gonna change green.
Right, right. They likely are
It's
not.
not a stoplight, it
Right.
ain't.
Tasha said that's never the case. We want them to give us what we need. However, if they don't know what we need, we're not getting it right. So we have
There we
to be
go.
comfortable.
Because they
Be
not looking to do that because they so busy receiving from us.
right. So we have to be willing to verbalize,
Hmm.
what we need, and then have the wherewithal and fortitude to be like, okay, this is my boundary, this is my line in the
Hmm.
sand, this is what I need. And if you're not
Hmm.
willing to accommodate that, then I'm gonna have to
Yep.
make a decision to remove myself and then
Hmm.
stand up to that decision. Because like you said, we're taking some liberties here, but based on what
Hmm.
Bernie was saying, it was possible that she was like, oh no, I want to do this, and he was like, oh, just wait. What?
Hmm.
Okay, well, you got 6 months to work on this
Exactly.
business, and then I'm gonna do my thing. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, or whatever the
Right.
case may be. And then Effie
Hmm.
also said that she almost threw her son's dad Xbox into the bathtub, but the Holy Spirit snatched her. She was the Holy Spirit snatched my collar so hard, girl. He'll get her.
You
He'll save us from ourselves for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Who would you like to talk about next?
Let's do Gloria.
Okay, I love Glory. I just love Loretta Devine. I don't care what she.
Yeah. Yes. So Gloria was like the biggest shock, and I loved how layered this movie was.
Mm-hmm.
So Gloria was still pining after her child's father. It came out in the conversation between her and her son. She had said he spent the night last time, and so maybe this time that I'm paraphrasing, but maybe this time he'll be merciful enough to do it again. I was like, oh Gloria. Oh, and then it comes out the other layer that this man is actually gay. So it makes me wonder how many times he been curving her, and she keep pushing the envelope, um, to try to rekindle.
Mm-hmm.
And she meets a neighbor. He's moving in. She meets a neighbor. They start to get close, and in meeting that neighbor, the neighbor starts to give insight on her son who wanted to go to Spain. I don't know how long he wanted to go, but she said something at the end that was like, "Thank you for showing me." And again, I'm paraphrasing, that I was scared to be alone. That's why she didn't want her son to go. Like she was like treating that was like her son kind of in a sense being her man surrogate, right? So she was like, "No, you ain't going nowhere because you ain't gonna leave me by myself."
Right.
So that was Gloria's kind of storyline.
Yeah. So layered is the perfect word. So,
Hmm.
being a single mom,
Hmm.
like you said, I can't remember either. And if y'all watch it and if they were married or just
Hmm.
together. Part of me wants to say they were married, but I could
Hmm.
misremembering that. But
Hmm.
definitely they had not been together for a while.
Hmm.
And, sounds like he would periodically pop up to see the son and,
Hmm.
break off a little piece.
You're so goofy.
I was, and and so part of that is as a woman,
Mhm.
we thinking back 30 years ago. Oh my gosh,
Mhm.
crazy. Um,
Mhm.
at this point, but like looking at it like I'm a single mother, and so either my life is so wrapped up in my child that I don't have a life, or
Mhm.
because I'm a single mom, I don't feel like I'm deserving of a life. And
Right.
so and so this is, and maybe in her mind, the only option I have is
Mhm.
this person that I know that I've been intimate with
Yep.
before, continuing that as opposed to
Mhm.
being open to the possibility that maybe
Mhm.
as a woman, as a person, I am worthy of love and and
Yes.
an adult relationship
Yep.
with a man.
Mhm.
So yeah, so her unpacking all that was like,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
having this guy, even though they had a romance, eventually had a romantic thing, but in other lives, we talked about the importance of having platonic
Mhm.
relationships. And
Mhm.
so her homegirls could have been telling her that, Gloria, you got your own shop, you did, girl,
Yep. Yep.
any man will be happy to have you.
Yep.
She probably been hearing that. But
Mhm.
it took this man to be like, hey, so
Mhm.
maybe
Mhm.
need to let the reins go a little bit with your son. Maybe,
Mhm.
explore some other things. And even though she didn't want to hear it at first,
Mhm.
she eventually heard it because
Mhm.
it just hit different
Yes. Yeah.
when a guy says it.
Yep. And I'm so glad that she didn't let her pride, like, because she got mad at him and they kind of like, separated a little bit. I'm glad she didn't allow her pride to be like stay mad. Like, yeah, what he said wasn't in probably the package she would want it in, but what he said was true. And I'm glad that she didn't let her being mad keep her from a
Mhm.
possible like really like you said fulfilling relationship. And if I'm not mistaken, in the book, and I know it's not the book, but in the book, I feel like she dealt with weight issues.
Mhm.
And again, there was a whole nother like layer, like he was saying, like the friends would say, yeah, you this, and this. And so again, you hit it on the nail on the head. She probably felt like that was the best she was gonna get
Mhm.
by dealing with her child's father. It's possible she ain't want nobody else, but I don't think that I feel like she feel that was the best she was gonna get. And so
Right.
I have success in this area, so I'm gonna go where I have success in.
Right. Right. Ebony said, I don't think the movie addressed whether they were married or not, but they had definitely been separated for
Mm-hmm.
time, and that she's felt both of those things as a single mom. Yeah, I mean, it's real. It's
Mm-hmm.
out here
Mm-hmm.
exploring adult relationships with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just is.
Yes.
It's so much to
Yes.
consider. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think it was. I'm trying to think of the movies we have talked about.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only one where someone has been a parent, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
definite interesting component
Mm-hmm.
rom-com. So like if the movie's not even talking about it,
Mm-hmm. We
again,
not talking about it.
right. So if I'm watching this in the 90s, in the early 2000s, I'm a single parent. I'm like, well, dang. I don't get to,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get to be liked or viewed as attractive or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
just as a kind of what's the word I want to look use, like a aspect of the movies reflecting real life. Is like, okay, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at this and I'm not seeing myself or my situation, then
Mm-hmm.
how do I then think about myself? So yeah, Sophia said she shot her shot. She sure did. She sashayed
Mm-hmm.
right on over there. I fix your plate.
Right.
I'm
She
like,
was like, oh, just a couple pieces. Dude. I said, that's a whole Christmas dinner.
right.
But she did though. She was like, "You want to come over for dinner?" After kind of, being the whole. And I don't know. And I don't know. As I was watching, I was like, was her whole angle to go over there? She saw the man, she liked him, and she used the, "Hey, I see you. They new to the neighborhood. Tell me about him." Or I feel like it's that. Or did it start off that way, and then it was like, "Oh, you the new neighbor, so let me shoot my shot." Like either way, I do agree. She like you said, sashayed over there and got her boyfriend.
Handyman, boyfriend, mentor to a son. Gregory
Yes,
playing all of the roles.
all the roles.
So yeah, I'm trying to think
Yeah.
was there anything else about Gloria.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say this, and not to be um taboo, insensitive,
Mm-hmm.
any of those things, but as we talk
Mm-hmm.
about being in situations, whether you're, had been married, now you're divorced,
Mm-hmm.
you've always been single, whether you got kids,
Mm-hmm.
but dealing with that aspect of I don't deserve more than this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when her baby's father said, I've been by for how,
Right.
and
So
now,
you was
right now I'm full fledged,
nails out. It ain't no more bye.
you know. And so she was like, "You don't have to go to this extreme," but I feel like you would know.
You
If
would know. And I mean, he
dating
said it as
somebody,
if
you
she
kicking this
knew.
up. I feel like, I get down low.
Uh-huh.
I get all of that, but I feel like our spidey senses.
Yeah. Well, at
The-
least have you asking questions.
right. And the reason I mention that this is not about
Yeah.
sexuality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The reason I mention that is it speaks to your point about how women sometimes feel this all I can get.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
how how much we need to work on ourselves when we
Yes.
continue to work with the, or deal with the
Mm-hmm.
narcissist, or deal with the cheater, or deal with the abuser.
Mm-hmm.
And not making light of any of these situations.
Yeah, no.
Just talking about like how it's a reflection on what we need to do about ourselves, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
let me say me, because
Mm-hmm.
I've dealt with narcissists, and I've dealt with
Mm-hmm.
abusers, and I've dealt with
Mm-hmm.
cheaters, and I've
Mm-hmm.
gone back
Mm-hmm.
knowing that
Mm-hmm.
they were these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't until I did some work on me that I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I gotta put up with this.
Right.
You know, I'd rather be by myself
Mm-hmm.
than have half of a quarter of, a tenth of a man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it took time.
Yeah.
It took time to get that revelation. And so, sometimes watching these kind of movies exacerbated those kind of unhealthy, toxic relationship
Mm-hmm.
thoughts. Sometimes they didn't. But yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
that's I think something that a lot has been a
Mm-hmm.
theme in some way, shape, or form in some of these movies. Is like
Mm-hmm.
maybe it ain't healthy how they interacted in two can play that game, but they kept
Mm-hmm.
going back.
They kept doing it.
You
They kept
know,
talking to each other.
right, maybe it wasn't healthy how it just right, old girl, I can't remember her name, but
Mm-hmm.
she lied from the
Listen.
start, but they
Oh,
kept
Paula.
kept
Mm-hmm.
going back, you know. And so yeah, that's definitely one of those areas where it's like maybe before we talk about any of these relationships, we need to make sure we good.
Yes.
Okay. Just my
Yeah.
little my little tip. All right. Who's next?
No, I think that's like really a good jump off point into Savannah,
Ooh, come on, Savannah.
who so I forgot all of this had happened. So got invited to a party and her date had a date.
So,
And then, like what you just said, she goes and still interact with him, knowing all he like she went through this whole monologue. Like I gave him $20 for gas, and he didn't give. change, man.
Well, hold up, pause. Can we talk about how she said gas would then cost was $7.18?
Right.
I was like, Mama,
Yes.
can we go back?
Look.
Can we go back to when I could fill the tank up for $7.18?
I remember we used to go look and see who had like it was like 98 cents and Hall's Ferry got it for 98 cents when it's like 99 cents on Lindbergh. Like I remember that time.
Oh,
Um
word.
but yeah, and her thing was like I feel like it's kind of what you were saying. She wanted her needs met, but I think it was just I just want to be with somebody. You know, I just want that company. So I'm willing to accept the foolishness, i.e., her married boyfriend. I'm willing to accept the foolishness in order to be with this man. And she had her story had a different layer because her mom was encouraging her. That whole, well, now we don't have TikTok no more, but that whole he's a good man, Savannah. That's where that come from. In case y'all didn't know, anybody that's watching this and you was born after 2000, that's where that line comes from, from Waiting to Exhale. Um, and you know, her and her mom had this conflict. She was like, "Well, shoot, if you want them, you deal."
Listen, let me experience that part too. Jesus.
So I think it jumps right off to what you said. Having it in why do I feel like being with this married man is the best I can get? Why do I deal with this guy? He cute. He do all the fit. He probably well not really. That whole scene was hilarious, but it was just I think she was telling herself, well, I need my needs met, but I think it was something deeper than that. But I think again, if we're watching this without, having no like, we're watching this and be like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to be like girl power, and it's about me, and it's about my needs at the expense of what I'm giving up to get my
Mhm.
needs met.
Yeah,
Right. I'm settling, to get my needs met. So that was Savannah's whole thing thing with me.
Stephanie said Savannah's mom got on my nerves so bad. Listen,
Because
I
it used to be, yeah.
shout out to Whitney.
Yes.
Her character
Mm-hmm.
is yet another example.
Mm-hmm.
She's professional.
Yep.
She got it, on paper, got it going on.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, on card, moving to
Mm-hmm.
Arizona on her own, got her own
Mm-hmm.
crew, all that. For all intents and purposes, she should have no problem
Mm-hmm.
finding a good man. And yet,
Mm-hmm.
Savannah,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently me and Anissa, are having a hard time.
Find a good man.
So it's like, well, that Bernie doing all that. She got a man. She doing everything she can do.
Bernie burning.
Savannah doing all the right things. She can't get a man.
Mm-hmm.
What we gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
So whether it was dude, I can't remember his name, but dude
Kendall.
had him money,
Mm-hmm.
who showed the red flag, was waving it, flying it well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, she
Mm-hmm.
still dealt with him. Then it was Kenneth,
Mm-hmm.
who was extra over the top married with a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the most important thing in my life. More important,
Mm-hmm.
more important than your wife and 6
She
kids.
read him. She said, what hold up. And she read him. She was like, so you could do the same thing to me and I take her place. That's when the light bulb came out. She's like, hold up. How am I more important than your wife?
I said,
Yeah. She was
so
like, I ain't gotta take this. I don't have to take
help
this.
the people. You said, where is it? She said my body needs this. That
Mm-hmm.
was a line she said when she was messing around with Kenna.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote down this concept of, sex without
Mm-hmm.
intimacy. Now I know you
Mm-hmm.
super
Yeah.
safe people. We ain't doing none of that.
We ain't doing
Now,
but we just saying, and
now,
yeah. You said now.
in '95, that was not my story. So to your point, Anissa, of delineating between
Mm-hmm.
physicality
Mm-hmm.
is like emotional
Mm-hmm.
need, right?
Right.
More, deeper
Yep.
need. And so I think clearly Savannah was
Mm-hmm.
not differentiating that. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
would put up with this trifling Negro who I know hanging
Mm-hmm.
out with somebody else who I know don't have no money
Mm-hmm.
to get a need met is part of it. And then
Mm-hmm.
he don't even do that well. Like,
Her
what?
in the monologue, I feel like I think hers, I feel like you said, they just resonated with me. Like her and I was like, I am Savannah. Like, what are we doing? Like, what is going on in the world?
And then, like, what? Right. Like, what
Girl,
happening? Right.
Ebony,
He even doing. Not
what are we
not.
doing?
So again, we watching this in our
Mm-hmm.
teens, some of us
Mm-hmm.
in our 20s, maybe
Mm-hmm.
30s, and that was another just quick caveat. They was talking about like 30 was old, 30, 33 was old. And I probably
Mm-hmm.
felt that way too at 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I gotta, get it together by 30. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, watching this and it being like, okay, so I gotta
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice. In my
Mm-hmm.
mid-20s, when this movie came out, I had graduated from college on my way to
Mm-hmm.
grad school. And so, I was dating somebody, but he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the best.
Yeah.
But he was a piece of man. And
Mhm.
he was mine sometimes. And
Mhm.
so I was right. I was willing to hold on to that. You know what I'm saying? And then when I get into my 20s and I'm on my own and I have my own place and all that, I still reflected back on these types of movies to be like, well,
Mhm.
these kind of my options, right?
Right.
It was very
Right.
options in or uh examples in my actual life or the
Mhm.
movies that I watched that demonstrated healthy relationships. And so
Mhm.
what I'm assuming it's gonna look like. And so
Mhm.
I could definitely resonate with Savannah's
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Last but not
Yeah, I
least.
like that. Before we move to Robert, I really like that. Like the display of, well, let me just get my needs met. And I feel like that kind of, and I hope we don't get in Facebook jail for this, but that's kind of like the process of the whole phase. Like, I just want my need met, but really I want intimacy. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't know I want intimacy. So I think this is the only way I'm gonna be able to get intimacy is by getting my physical needs met.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just verbalizing that is really, really interesting because it don't show. And I don't know if that's, on purpose or, because of the movie. But and even not just that movie, I can think of TV shows like where it's like just get your needs met. Like you'll be all right. You know what I mean? So I think that's really, really good.
You said something and I wanted to circle back to Savannah's mom.
Mm-hmm.
And her mom said, every woman needs a man.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do we though? I know, I know. I know somebody gonna watch this on Facebook, the real or
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, and be like, Dr. S, I thought we would save, sanctify, Holy Ghost, filled, fire baptized. I am.
She is.
And I believe in the sanctity of marriage. I believe in the
Mm-hmm.
covenant of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that message, every
Mm-hmm.
woman needs a man,
Mm-hmm.
has been weaponized by
Mm-hmm.
some or some,
Mm.
and it puts
Mm-mm.
us in positions that we don't need to be in. So we
Mm-hmm.
either tolerating foolishness because we feel like we
Mm-hmm.
need a man. We
Mm-hmm.
rushing into foolishness because we feel like we need a man. We staying
Mm-hmm.
in foolishness because
Mm-hmm.
we feel like we need a man.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna say every woman needs a man. Like if that is
Mm-hmm.
our choice, then amen. If that's to
Mm-hmm.
have a good godly man, then double
Mm-hmm.
it. Some of us though have experienced our mamas, our aunties, our pastors,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
saying our leaders saying stuff like that, and it puts us in positions we don't necessarily need to be in.
Right.
So like when her mom, when I saw the clip and her mom, like I felt that. Like this
Yeah.
movie, a lot of these movies I love this movie, but like this movie
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason I was like, this Forrest did this. Forrest
Mm-hmm.
Whitaker, shout out.
Mm-hmm.
He this
It
I mean,
was
I know it's
very
based on
layered.
Terry's book, so let me shout
Yeah.
out Terry because she wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Forrest
He
for,
did a good job bringing it to
yeah,
screen.
bringing it to screen because I feel like almost every woman and
Mm-hmm.
probably every black woman has
Mm-hmm.
heard somebody
Oh yeah.
say that
Mm-hmm.
to her
Mm-hmm.
and then being made to feel bad if she is not currently
Yep.
in a relationship. And I just want to let y'all know, if y'all watching this,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not in a relationship, if you're not
Mm-hmm.
settling, if you're not in no, that's good. Do you? It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2 cents on that real fast.
Yeah. No, that was really good. All right. Robin. When I was younger, I think they were all the same age, but I think because of the actual ages of the
Mm-hmm.
actresses, I always looked at Robin as the youngest one, even though they might have all been the same age, right? Just because I think her energy was she was fun, she was flirty, like looking at how her apartment was laid out. But Robin, her apex was Russell, and we'll get to Russell. But she entertained her coworker, which let me tell y'all, I don't recommend. If you do it and it's successful, God bless you. But I don't recommend. At least if y'all on the same, if y'all on different floors, okay, you might can make that work. If y'all see each other every day, I don't know. But she slept with him and she said he's not Russell, but he's available. And, and I could that's one guy because she had another guy that was so crazy to watch. Um, but I was like, oh, piece of a man. He ain't what I want. Nowhere near what I want.
Right.
And here's the other part. He said, what do you want? She said, I want this, I want this, I want this. And he said, oh, got all that. And it still didn't. She wanted Russell. Russell was the whew. So yeah, we can come back to that.
Let's talk about the coworker, then we'll circle back to
Okay,
Russell and
okay,
Trevor,
okay,
the guy.
okay.
Michael was the coworker.
Yes, yes,
And I immediately thought 95.5.
yes.
So our conversations about, okay, so he's gainfully employed, he's interested in me, he's available, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Willing to give me what I want on my
willing,
list.
at least saying he
Yeah.
willing to give me what I want. I got a house in Scottsdale. I got sure
Mm-hmm.
got it with, you know.
Got that. What else you want? Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so 95.5. He might not look like
Mm-hmm.
I want him to look, but he has
Mm-hmm.
these other things, these other characteristics that I find endearing or
Yes.
attractive.
Yes.
And so I forget what happens. I know she lets him go or something. So, like you said, that
Yeah.
whole
Some they got into it kind of at the job. She fires him, and then they out, and she see him out with another
with
woman.
someone else. So
Yeah.
it's like so as Anissa and I have shared before, like we have these conversations about they might not be perfect, they might not embody all of the characteristics, but like
Mm-hmm.
Robin, you might be open to the possibility of maybe working with this person. And sometimes that may work out for you, and sometimes, like in the
Mm-hmm.
movie, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was because they worked together. Maybe if they didn't work together,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
would have worked out. But I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
mention that the whole 95-5 thing, because
Yeah,
that
definitely.
was like a perfect
Mm-hmm.
example of that. Okay.
Example. Yep.
So
And
oh yeah.
no, go. I was gonna say, and even just thinking about this now, they didn't put no boundaries, no guidelines in place. Like, so, hey, because it did seem like he was coming for her in her, or he could have just been, it's back to business with me. And she was the one that was like, hold up, we was just X, Y, and Z, and you ain't had the same energy. So, even discussing what that dynamic was looking like, so that, one person don't get no feelings and,
Mhm.
she fired him. So yeah, Russell found out Russell was married. I thought it was just her, kryptonite, but Russell is married. She wanted Russell to leave his wife. He come home one night or come to her house one night, and she like, okay, well, did you do it? And he like, no. And then she was like, well, did you sleep with her? And he was like, I don't have to explain to you what I do with my wife.
Why? He
Like,
ain't gonna get mad
yeah.
when somebody call me on the phone. Oh Jesus.
And I have nerve to set a rule in her house. Tell your boyfriends not to call here after 11. Negro, you don't pay no bills in this house. And you ain't living up to your end of the bargain.
Crazy. But we
So,
all had a Russell.
yes, we've all had a Russell where, we just throwing caution to the wind here. And her story gets a little bit more endearing because she shares that she wants children and had an abortion, gotten pregnant before, had an abortion, all because I don't know if she said he asked her to or how that, I don't remember that specific part of it. But it was just, she had just such a deeper layer. Again, another character that just had such a deeper layer to in her want, for a family and children to the point where she gets pregnant again and she's like, we don't need you. Like, I don't need nothing from you. Like, I'm going to raise this child on my own. And so, again, as that dynamic, um, with now, he's not just her married boyfriend or ex boyfriend. This is now your child's father. And now, yes, I understand you drawing the line to protect yourself, but do you still allow him to be a father? Like, all of those thoughts started to come. Um, and it kind of, and I don't like this, so please forgive me if I say this wrong. It it almost perpetuates. That's when I say this movie like holds up in some areas. It perpetuates like the single mother syndrome. I don't need nobody to take care of me and my baby or help me take care of me and my baby, which is now something that's being demonized. Like, single mothers are being demonized, like they chose to be single, but nobody, to my understanding, say, "Hey, I want to be a single mom today," and proceed to go do that. So that whole exchange, and again, I get it as a woman, like, I don't want nothing from you, like, I'm right now, because of our history, yeah, I don't, don't talk to me. And it just watching that, would say, as a young girl, like, if I get pregnant pregnant by a man that I was really into, and now to protect myself, I
Hmm.
say I'm choosing the route of becoming a single mother, without holding him accountable for his responsibilities as being a father.
Yeah. That's interesting that you share that, and thank you guys for continuing to hang out with us. Um, because you kind of have these two opposing uh views of dads, neither
Mm-hmm.
positive, right? So you have
Mm-hmm.
Gloria's
Mhm.
who
Mhm.
like, popping in sporadically
Mhm.
and then he's leaving and he's like, I'm I'm not coming through
I'm
anymore
not gonna. Yeah,
unless
he gonna have to make the
Tariq
first.
comes
Yeah.
out to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but you the adult, but
You the
no,
father.
you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So you
Mhm.
have this
Mhm.
interesting dynamic where he's like,
Mhm.
well, I'm willing to be involved, but only if Tariq wants me to be involved and he's taking the initiative.
Mhm.
And then you have Russell over here who
Mhm.
is um may or may not be willing to be active in a child's
Mhm.
life, but uh Robin isn't even giving him that chance. I'm
Mhm.
assuming based on like he's
Mhm.
clearly a cheater and doesn't care
Mhm.
very much for the women in his
Mhm.
life. And so she's
Mhm.
like you said, to protect herself, protect her peace, as we would say now.
Mhm.
She's like,
Mhm.
I'm not even gonna have an expectation of you
Mhm.
because it is very likely that you're going to let
Mhm.
me down.
Mhm.
And I would dare say, don't remember this is in the book and this is me taking a liberty that she probably had some daddy issues.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's one,
Mhm.
how she chose men, and then
Mhm.
how she was like, you know what, we gonna cut this right on off
Mhm.
now. And so having those kind of opposite ends of the spectrum, but the spectrum as a whole was trash because
Mhm.
there was no dad other than Gregory Hines' character, who was kind of like a father figure,
Surrogate, yeah.
but showing these examples of positive male
Mhm.
relationships with the
Mhm.
women or with the
Mhm.
kids. And
Mhm.
so we watching this at 13, 15, 18, 22, 25. Like, well, again, if this is all I know is are
Mhm.
black rom-coms,
Mhm.
what am I looking forward to? What is
Right.
my level of expectation?
Mhm.
Savannah has said something that I thought was so interesting early, I think early on in the movie. She said um something to the effect of what men are good at is making
Mhm.
us feel desperate. And I was like,
Mhm.
that is such a deep line.
Mhm.
And I think for some of us, we feel that.
Yeah.
We feel like it's not you're here to make us feel loved, you're here to make us feel safe, you're here,
Mhm.
to help us build family, community, business, ministry, whatever. Like
Mhm.
your job is to make me hate life.
Mhm.
Your job is to make me feel thirsty. Your job is to make me feel like I don't
Mhm.
chase after you.
You're right.
For real? And I'm like, that's heavy.
Yes. And even as you're talking, I'm thinking again, going back to what you were saying, like how we need to check ourselves and make sure we're in a good place to engage in these relationships. So do the men, because
Definitely.
it could be they want to feel needed, and the only way to feel needed is by Savannah's point, making us desperate, making us thirsty, making us chase after you, because that's the only way that you feel needed,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to dealing with your issues and being able to discuss that if you in a relationship. Hey, I deal with wanting to feel needed. What does that look like in our bounds of our relationship?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely think that, and I think it's stemming from a want to feel needed, to feel useful, you know what I mean. Like I think we can think about how if and this is like a hypothetical, but if a woman starts making more money in the household, how a man would feel like, oh, I'm not needed as much
Mm-hmm.
because now I'm not pulling in the weight. When I think about it, as the money coming to the same place,
Mm-hmm.
the most we both is coming to the same bank account. So yeah, again, having that male perspective on, I'm just assuming, and coming up with my own just by what I've been watching. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's too far fetched though about what she said.
Right. Yeah. I was like, that's heavy. That's real heavy.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, real quick on on Robin as we talk about red
Mm-hmm.
flags and the things that we tolerate. Troy,
Mm-hmm. Troy was so cringy to watch. He was so cringy. Even at 10, I was like, I don't like this dude.
right? I'm like, but they start off good. Then you got me
Uh-huh.
at this party. You doing all of the things. I'm seeing the
Mm-hmm.
signs,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like, I think the part that I wanted to highlight is we see the cringe behavior, but because he said, I was going to invite
Introduce you to
you
my
to the
mama.
family reunion, go meet my
Mm-hmm.
mama. And
Mm-hmm.
that is like a rite of passage, right? Like that
Yes.
makes
Like
something
that's a medal. Like,
right. You know what I'm saying? Like this is so significant. And I love what Savannah said when they was
mm-hmm.
on the phone. She said, what have y'all done? What has this man said, done? What have you experienced in 3 days?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it in
Mm-hmm.
perspective. As you and
Mm-hmm.
I talk about all the time, when we take emotion out of it,
Mm-hmm.
we look at this logically and rationally.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened in 3 days
Mm-hmm.
that make you worthy of seeing his mama, meeting his mama,
Mm-hmm.
meeting his family? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just how
Mm-hmm.
some of us have been this way. We chatted, had a few good
Mm-hmm.
conversations. He's saying
Mm-hmm.
the right thing. And I'm like, oh, we gonna get married. Or oh, we gonna be in a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. Or oh, this gonna be
Mm-hmm.
cause I grabbed hold to that one little good thing, one little glimmer of hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And hold on to it.
Hold on to it, but completely write off the attic, the stealing,
Mm-hmm.
the I'm lumping all of the bums together. Yo, you ain't interested in me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm ignoring
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm holding on to this one little kernel. Look,
Drug use, like it
the
was a lot
the,
going on.
the mustard seed, y'all, is for faith, not
Yeah.
for foolishness. We done got it twisted. We done got it. I'm telling y'all, it's been some nuggets dropped tonight. If
Oh my goodness.
the mustard seed, we ain't holding on to hope for that nonsense,
Mm-mm.
for the shenanigans
Mm-mm.
and the tomfoolery. But yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, like so many of these characters, the males, and this is not all men. We understand
Mm-hmm.
the movie. We understand
Mm-hmm.
it's possibly not representative. It's definitely not representative of all men. However,
Definitely.
some men do right well fit into these categories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This movie in particular, though,
Mm-hmm.
we're trash. 9 out of 10 men in that particular movie book
Yeah.
were trash.
Yep. Yep.
And it did not give me a lot of hope. 95. Ooh, so I can imagine
And
for y'all who was 13 and 15 watching it like,
look, we
what
ain't
is
got our frontal
doing?
lobe ain't nowhere near developed. And we like, oh, this is how that. Every said that's a word. You need to write it down. The mustard seed is for faith, not for foolishness. A
Right.
word, a whole word.
Listen. And with that, one more quote that I had written down,
Mm-hmm.
paraphrase um is Robin has said, I think she was talking about Troy, and she was
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe I could be a good influence on him.
Mm. And
Yeah.
he ain't nowhere near in her stratosphere, like nowhere. Like that's what I'm saying. Drug use, her wallet got stolen. Like
Like he showed this to
he was like, I ain't gonna say rapey, but like she trying to close her door, he forcing her way into it. And then when they having their little exchange, he go up there to try to walk into her. You just crossing all the boundaries. And maybe listen, I ain't gonna say that I have said that. Trying to be, come on, Ebony. Trying to be a good influence almost destroyed him. Like holding on to, I'm gonna bring him up to me.
right.
And And that ain't your job. Because if he ain't already coming in with that, then oh my goodness. I forgot all about that one. That was a good one.
Right, I had to refresh because I wasn't seeing Ebony's comments. So, like, right, his leather wearing self in the summer, just crazy.
That's all wrong.
He definitely had a Russell. I'm so glad I'm no longer in that place, or grateful I'm no longer in that place, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Right, that we would even accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because I mean, we all can testify.
Mm-hmm.
Who's in the rooms right now? I don't think there would be one person who couldn't raise their hand that you have dealt
Mm-hmm.
with someone. And the thing I thought of that was going around for a while was, at this point in life, you need to be potential. Troy might have had potential. I'm gonna need you
Mm-hmm.
to be potential. I'm a,
I'm
it-
gonna be already doing some stuff
it's some
because I
stuff.
can't.
Right. I know we had talked about, right. Right, trying to be a good influence. Because listen, to remind y'all, I am saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost, filled, fire, baptized. When we talk about being yoked up, and the Bible says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, because when you are yoked up unequally, without fail, the dead thing gonna pull you back.
It's clear.
It's
And I don't
gonna
know why we be acting like they don't apply to us.
right. It's gonna pull you back. So
It's
if
gonna pull you down.
you ain't gonna, it is unlikely. I ain't gonna say what you ain't gonna do. It is unlikely that you're gonna pull them forward. Y'all yoke. Now you might can evangelize, but you ain't gotta date them. You might can
Come
win,
on.
but y'all ain't gotta be in a relationship.
Mm-mm.
Invite them to church, but you ain't
Mm-hmm.
gotta sit beside them. Like, you know what I'm
Mm-mm.
saying? Cause so for somebody, that's their testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Where it worked for you, it ain't work for
It
me.
ain't work for
I
yeah.
don't know very many people that it worked for. So eh,
Yeah.
you can pray for them from a distance. All that good stuff, but trying to be a good influence and pull them
And
forward.
pulled it. Mm-mm. They need to be fully potential.
Really
Or
potential.
already potential.
So some heartbreak and some dollar bills, because it is costly.
Costly.
It is costly. Like Ebony said, mentally, physically, emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually, financially, is costly.
All the dimensions of wellness is.
Right, right. All of it.
That's
All of the
the,
leaves.
all of them.
It so is. I like, this is all of the movies I feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I really like this movie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait, exhale.
Mm-hmm.
It was on a whole different level.
It was. It was. It
It,
did. That's why I said it did really good to capture what was going on in that time. But I feel like those experiences don't expire. Like all, like we saying, I could identify or at least understand. Like those are not outdated experiences. Those still happen.
right. And maybe it's because it's based on a book, and
Mm-hmm.
Mary is a very good writer. Like I said, I've read
Mm-hmm.
many of her books.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, it just, it because the book had such depth, and then of
Mm-hmm.
course
Mm-hmm.
Nora did such justice bringing it to life. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think of the movies we've talked about so far,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these characters had a lot more going on.
Yeah, that was a good one.
You
That
know,
was a good
as women, they had a lot more going on, and
one. Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of other ways we could look at, like how we
Mm-hmm.
may have learned faulty ways of thinking about relationships and marriages, because it also gave the impression that husbands are cheaters, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
at least two of them.
And cold blooded cheaters. Like three of them. Cause Kenneth Russell and I forgot Bernadette's husband name, but yeah,
Oh
like
yeah. So three of them were cheaters. A couple of them
mm-hmm.
was, F boys.
Yeah, oh,
You
yes.
know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, boys.
several were bums. Like, so it like, it was like
Mm-hmm.
so we're our plan is to wrap up this series next month, in the month of
Mm-hmm. Blue.
with probably, I don't know, it might be in the top, it's in the top three. It's probably in the top three. Next month we're gonna be talking about Love and Basketball. That movie right there. had all us on a choke in a chokehold.
It
We was, we was in a chokehold.
it did.
That's another movie with a fire soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
A lot happened. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
be talking about that next month, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll I don't know what we'll do something else. You know, we're
Yeah.
always doing some of the things. If y'all have
Mm-hmm.
suggestions for topics, whatever, we're open. We might have some seminar master class ish type things happening. All of the
Mm-hmm.
things. Um, Dr. A, anything else you want to say about Wait and Exhale?
No, no, this was a good one. Like this is totally I didn't feel as enraged as I did with Two Can Play That Game. And I love the vulnerability. Now, not that I'm saying or that I picked up that it's okay to be with a married man, but the fact that they explored that, because that's a thing that happened. Like you said, we accept less than what we deserve. And that's one of the examples, you know, we settle for a piece of a man who belonged to somebody else. So I really liked the fact that, and I don't think it, you know, just dawned on me, but that was a central theme in the movie, like dealing with somebody who's married and what that looks like, even with in Bernie's storyline, like Wesley Snipes who fell in love with her. That's still funny to me. Uh,
Mhm.
but he was married, and she was like, "That's okay." Even as her experience was, I got cheated on while I was married. Just seeing her working her way through that, that was really so. I really like the vulnerability of this movie.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I might have to go rank get the book, read the book again. So yeah, so thank you guys for hanging out with us, for commenting, for sharing, for tagging all the things. Feel free to do that even, after we're done. If you watch the
Mhm,
replay, let us know. Like I said, we'll pop back on next month,
mhm.
the third Tuesday, to close out this series with love and basketball. Thank you, Ebony. It was fun having you comment.
Yes.
And like I said, for those of you who are free on February 14th and y'all want to
Mhm.
join us for Valentine's night get together at Game Show Battle Rooms in Chesterfield, please do. We would love to have you. Tickets are
Mhm.
$42. You can get those at drshlay.com/event-1. And the fifth annual Roar Like a Lioness Women's Conference. So excited. So excited. Run with it is our theme. Um,
Mm.
and we're gonna have some dynamic speakers, our psalmists, the place is locked in. So we would love to see you there. That's $65. I actually, if you made it to the end, I do have 3 vendor spots. So if you're interested in being a vendor, hit me up so you can secure one of those along with your spot at the conference. Dr. A, anything you got coming up or
Um,
you want to share?
yes, we have our last chapter for The Mountain Is You coming up next month. And listen, y'all, it be full on healing and therapy sessions going on. So even if you have not been able to make it and you are interested, please inbox us. Our facilitator, Serenia Green, does such a really good job at recapping and posing thought provoking questions. So we are on chapter 6. We will send out details on the day. I believe it is the second Tuesday now. It was on Thursdays. But I just invite everybody to come out, like learning about self sabotage and how we can really live the fully abundant life that was promised to us by God. Like we gotta learn to stop getting in our own way. So chapter 6, our final one, I
Chapter 7.
invite everybody to come out.
Chapter 7.
Is it 7? Well, I think it was 6. I thought we just did 5. Okay. That's my bad. It might be the digital book because my digital book don't be lining up with the paper book. Chapter 7, excuse
Chapter
me.
7, our last chapter. So, yep.
So
Exciting.
yeah, it's really good. So yeah, that's the last thing I have coming up.
Amazing. All right. right, guys. We love you guys. We appreciate you hanging out with us and engaging with us. It was so, so, so good. So enjoy the rest of your Tuesday and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging.
Yes, be blessed, Dr. S. Oh, actually, I'm about to push the wrong button. Let me not hit that one. We got a whole bunch going on. All right, guys, for real. We out.